That's awesome. So magic, math, like what's happening. So we're gonna have some fun today. So to kick this party off, let's bring up the one, the only Kate Nova. Kate, what's happening?
Good morning, Sean. Good morning, everybody. Happy Trajectory Tuesday.
Happy Trajectory Tuesday, Kate. So what is present for you coming out? How about this? You know, if somebody were to say, from just, I want to create a $4 million business. I want to create a $4 million business. So how would I create a $4 million business? And if somebody were to say to them, well, you could do that and more actually, just by running a Real Raw with 5 people on it a day. What do you think most people would say, Kate, about the ability to run one Real Raw a day and have it be a $4 million business? What do you think most people would say?
Um, Most people would probably say that it's not possible, or they would just look at me like I have three eyes, which I really do. But we all have three eyes.
I am not confused, Kate. Yes, I am not confused. So you were on a call this morning, the 7 a.m. internal call, and you were sharing some things that were very present for you and on your heart. And so what was there for you?
To be quite honest, I'm like shaking in my body, because there's so much energy, and some kind of block was moved or something shifted. Because, and I say that because during this call, what really became present to me is that my whole life, I believe in magic. My whole life, I've believed in it, but I always thought that it was something out there in the ether, like just something that you can manifest, or like buy crystals, do affirmations, things like that, or almost unobtainable. And every human seeks magic at any stage of their life, whether they realize it or not, because we all have dreams. And at the same time, no one can really explain what magic is. Because if you would have asked me what it is, what is it? I would have said, well, it's a feeling, or when it's an alignment or something happens. But this morning at 7 a.m., for the first time ever, I got to see how magic can be explained with math, and how what's on your heart can be explained and obtained and created with math. And like my mind is blown, because I always thought that math, it's geometry, trigonometry, calculus. I've taken all of those, but like I would have never ever thought to connect the two. And and what's that being present to, it's almost like a domino effect, one after the other, is that creating magic and explaining it with math leads to integrous crucial accountability.
Mm.
And then it was like, well, where's that coming from? Why? And here at Unblinded, we Real Raw is the pillar, and that's what's creating the magic. But at the same time, like I know I'm saying that because I used to think that too several months ago, even a couple of months ago, like, why do we have to do the Real Raw? Like, why can't we just, like watch modules, connect with the amazing people, because we're all heart-minded, um, like-hearted and like-minded people, and sort of, go about our life and learn and go and do what we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then this morning, I realized that if that's the only thing that happens, like if that's the only thing that we do is watch modules, connect, and then do what we want, then Unblinded will have failed.
Mm.
because that's not what you stand for, and that's not what Sean and you, Sean, Fernando, and Adam, and everybody, that's not what you stand for. Like, we can validate each other and like connect with each other all day long, up and down. But in reality, it takes a lot more to make our dreams happen. And just validation and connection is not going to give us and bring us more money in less time and more magic. It's just going to be another feel good training and seminar where we're going to go feel happy and excited and connected, but then stay where we are in numbers in our life. And Sean, I'm really so grateful because over the past week of being on the internal team calls, and I'm so immensely grateful to Adam and to Fernando for seeing me in that way. And I've never experienced integrous accountability to the level that I've seen over the last week, because making dreams happen and truly caring for other people is not just about saying you're amazing and I love you and I see you and I hear you, but it's also causing you to step outside of the familiar, to step into your discomfort, to face your fears and to overcome them. And Sean, the passion that I've heard in your voice this morning, it was almost like a frustration because a lot of people don't get it, and because it's new. And like, you're really committed. You're so fiercely committed to your truth and to your integrity that you would rather have people not be in Unblinded than just to let them enjoy themselves, just another feel good seminar, but then not change their life, because that would mean that you will have failed in what you stand for and what you are called by your higher divine calling. And I'm sorry, I'm just overcome with so much, but thank you so much.
Yeah. And Kate, thank you. And I didn't know all that you were going to share. And so that was extraordinary. And is Peter, Kate, please stay, please stay. So is Peter Swain out there? Okay, Peter.
I'm not seeing him at the moment.
Okay.
John.
So Peter and I had a conversation where Peter said to me, he goes, people don't like math or words to that effect. And when you talk about math, you could push people away. And would it be better to have lots more people here and have, essentially, Peter said, it was a beautiful question. It was like challenging thoughts and processes, and have everybody be comfortable. And my answer is, if I wanted to be a motivational and inspirational speaker, I would put myself against anybody on the planet and knowing how to do that. I understand this formula. I understand how to make people feel good. I understand how to make people feel seen, heard, understood, loved. I understand it all. I don't think the world needs another motivational speaker. In fact, I'm positive. And in fact, I think the world has too many motivational speakers. I think the world has too many coaches. I think the world has too many people who are either confused themselves or claiming to have knowledge that they don't. And so what this mission is about raising money, time, and magic. And every word Kate said I agree with except one, or one sentence. It's a micro distinction. Nobody has to run a real raw. What you do have to have are optimal shared experiences. You could fly people to Buck Island. I have. You could take 100 people to Grand Cayman. I have. You can fill an arena with 1,500 people. We have. You could take people to a World Series baseball game. I have. You could have a private room at Capitol Grill and be their number one client for 2 consecutive years, larger than pharmaceutical companies. I have. You can run in-person meetings with neurosurgeons, orthopedic surgeons, that would be a whole bunch of different practices. I have. You could speak on giant stages that belong to other people like Tony Robbins. I have. You can go on television nationally. I have. You can go for a walk and talk to people. I have. And you could come up with an endless series of shared experience. Go to strip clubs. I have not. You know, taking people for business. You could hang out in bars and get drunk. I have not. There's a myriad of shared. You go golfing, skydiving, bungee jumping, loads of different things. The question is, one, are you? So a new container I want to create, a new container for us to create is how many shared experiences are you having with people? Because I think sometimes a word, like for some people, real raw can be like, oh, that thing you're telling me to do, kind of like we're parents. So let's remove that. What are the shared experiences that you're conducting with people to create sales meetings? Because to create sales meetings, you must create a shared experience. And if you're saying your podcast, no problem. How many meetings are you having from your podcast? One of my partners in Caligula, conversation this morning, I'm like, how many meetings are coming off of this thing that you're doing? And the answer was not many. And so fundamentally, what this is all about is reality. Non-random, highest math, reality. And we were going to get into all this morning. My perception is it might be better to do it tonight with a little bit more time. So, but here's what I do want to say, because this came up with Tiffany Armstrong. Is Tiffany out there? Can we unmute Tiffany real quick?
Hey, Sean, just, I'm here as well.
Hey, Peter. So, Peter, what I was speaking into, if you did or didn't hear, was the beautiful question you asked me, and maybe about, well, I'll let you phrase it the way that you did. So we recreate the way I posed it was essentially, when we talk about math that could push people away, why not let people be comfortable, have like more people? And maybe why don't you share your version of that conversation and your perception of my answer?
Yeah, I hopefully ask you lots of beautiful questions. I was working which one, but the one that we were speaking about, I think, is I said, do you perceive that as you speak about more about heart and math, you'll essentially lose 80% of your audience, because half of those will just resonate with the heart side, half of it will resonate with the math side, but how many people in honesty resonate with both? And I believe that your answer was that you acknowledged that to be true, but you would rather, what is present to me as I'm saying it out loud is you have started some of these huddles with the scene from Sparta. where the two kings meet for the first time on the way to the fight. And he says, he looks like you didn't bring many soldiers with you. And he turns around and says, what do you do? What do you do? I'm a baker, I'm a carpenter, I'm a this. And he turns around to his lot and says, what do you guys do? And they just go, hooah. And that's what's present to me as I'm saying it out loud. I think that was essentially your answer to me.
Yes, sir. And in the same way that in 300, they were all invited. They're all invited, right? Everybody's invited because heart and math is the truth. It is the truth. And we are not committed to assembling an audience that is large and comfortable that we're not telling the truth to. So for all those that are more heart-centered, my urgent desire is to open the listening, understanding that we're going to lose some people, and that's going to create the ability for some others that are desiring to build, try to build a something, to take some of those heart-centered people over here with them and cause them pain, because nothing's going to happen. And then on the math side, there could be some people like, this is a little bit too much heart stuff, so we're going to go like over here. And the truth is that it is only through the combination of both heart and math that these things happen. And Peter, at one juncture, I would have misperceived you as somebody that was math, logic, almost exclusively. And through our getting to know each other better, I've been elated to see how big your heart is and how large your generosity, or how abundant the dynamic of generosity is in your heart and your soul. So, thank you for that awesome question. Thank you for your heart and mathness, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I don't think you did misperceive me. I think it was true. And I think that the year I've spent here, over a year now, in Unblinded, in one way or another, has allowed me to explore both sides and be comfortable with both at the same time, and that you can have both at the same time. It is real, it is possible. And my very crude analogy for it nowadays is it's like the ocean. The ocean is beautiful. I know it's a bit of a kooky analogy, but it's heart-centered. It's a beautiful thing. But if you get confused at the math of the ocean, it can knock down cliffs every single day. It's not the most glamorous thing. It's a blunt force, but it works because it understands the need for a wave to hit a cliff 1,000 times, but it will work. But it doesn't lose the heart. So I thank you, and I thank Fernando for bringing me into this program, and amazing leaders that you've assembled like Gina and Bella and Adam. And I'm going to do a disservice of not naming people for allowing multiple people, not just myself, to find the other one that they were lacking when they released their fear of being the other one at the same time.
Well, thank you for that access, Peter, and for our co-creation in Yo-Yo and all that is. And I want to speak into that. It would feel contrived to do it in this moment. So perhaps tomorrow, the next day, let's lean into Yo-Yo and what that is. It just would feel wrong and like manipulatively promotional to do it in this moment.
Absolutely, 100%, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, brother, and we'll talk in a little bit. Thank you. So, heart and math, and so two unsung heroes, by the way, of Unblinded, that have just emerged as just rock star warrior leaders. Nicole and Chaz, the emergence of both in very different ways, but in similar ways as well, has been mind-boggling. And of course, there's so many other amazing people, and I always want to acknowledge Lorelei for her undying commitment to the Real Raw in its earliest stages and its evolution and all the dynamics, and the gratitude for her and her belief from the beginning, and populating it with people that gave it life, that gave it liftoff. So thank you, Lorelei, for that. So quick time check, Chaz, where are we at, bud?
You're at 8:54.
Okay, so we're definitely going to do it tonight, but what we're going to do tonight is we are going to demonstrate in real numbers with every lever how a multi-million-dollar business can be constructed through a shared experience. Totally open to anybody suggesting they know a shared experience that can be better. And let's play that game. Like, does somebody know a shared experience that could be like, you could fly to Buck Island? I would say it's probably better. It's pretty expensive. Going to Grand Cayman, pretty expensive. Private room in the Capitol Grill, pretty expensive and less optimal because you got to get people to drive there. And you can't put people from all over the place like that into driving there. And it takes 4 hours instead of an hour and a half. And it costs a lot more money to have a private room at the Capitol Grill all the time. And so the evolutionary decisions that I've made on behalf of my other businesses, Caligy Law included, is I will never, ever take somebody to the Capitol Grill ever again unless we're on the verge of agreement formation. And that's the only time I will go, because otherwise it's an amazingly inefficient use of time, money, and energy. So if somebody's got something that beats the real raw and you want to license it to me, I'll use it. But until then, the real raw is the standard shared experience on the planet to begin the journey of ecosystem merging, as well as complementary sessions to have clients. So Adam Gugino, final for today before we step to Clubhouse. And the way this is evolving, Clubhouse is the ecosystem merger timeframe. Every day in real time, the working through and the working on ecosystem merging. And that is present. It occurred yesterday, more will occur today. Be there with your ecosystem partners. The way to use it, we'll explain there. Again, but is texting while you're there with your ecosystem partners to pick dates and accelerate action. And the reason things don't accelerate is because people feel the integrous to final, before we kick it to AG for his thought. In 2000, to speak into the intentionality, the imagery, the visualization, before I get up on stage, before I open a jar that won't open, at Date with Destiny 2019, in preparing, I went through the influence mastery, I went through the words, and I visualized the audience. I felt their feelings. I heard their thoughts as each sentence would come out of my mouth. I altered, I edited the sentences. I moved things, I shifted, I felt the energy of the crowd. I saw it, I felt it. I visualized this massive movement of people to the back of the room, which occurred. And the night before, I touched every chair in the perimeter of the room, in a 5,000 person room, to put my energy on the chairs, to reach my energy the next day when I was there. So the extent to which anybody, steps into the energetic space, the visualization space, and thinks that we're not talking about that here, we certainly are, and more. And I touched every chair on the outside, every chair across the back row, just touched. Visualize connecting with that space and the person in that chair, and touched. It took me about 15 minutes to circle the entire room. I did that about at 1 a.m. when the room emptied the night before I was going up the next morning. So the extent to which anybody in the space of like, okay, I know it's like all math, but I want to be more heart and I need a little more woo-woo. I don't know that I like the word woo-woo. You could have the word woo-woo. But what I do believe, and I'm present to, is that energy is a transferable thing. And I am present to the fact that our brain doesn't know the difference between what we vividly imagine and we actually do. Our brain doesn't know that difference. And I learned that when I was 16 years old, and I've never stopped. So the extent, because I had this conversation with Tiffany Armstrong, the internal team, Tiffany's like, whoa, you believe in all that? I'm like, of course I do. We've done modules and had conversations about it. So when I sit and talk about sitting in a circle singing Kumbaya, like I like sitting in circles singing Kumbaya, but it's only a micro part of producing the outcome. And what you will hear and see tonight will demonstrate that math magic that Kate spoke about. And in Clubhouse today, the practical, accountable ecosystem merging that will go on is what we're going to be doing. So love you guys. AG, what do you got?
Yeah, Sean, what became present for me was the moment at Capitol Grill. And people have asked me, how did you know, and I found myself racking my brain to think about like what made me at that time, looking back, walking away from millions of dollars and all those things that happened and started in that first conversation. And it was the realization that I had found somebody who understood heart and math, because everything that I had built had been based off of the combination of those two things. And yes, the formula and influence, process, and self, which was the deeper distinctions that I began to learn. But it was just that initial connection I had with you, that you were like the math, the genius around understanding that, how that works, was what attracted me to this and made me obsessed with learning, what you had done in that moment. That became present to me, that was the true answer to what brought me here.
You know who else understands heart and math? Everybody who's ever done anything like you want to do. Bruce Springsteen, deep, resonating heart, ferocious warrior in lawsuits, fighting for his intellectual property rights. Bruce Springsteen, look it up. Protects his intellectual property rights like a lunatic, practices more hours a day in deep practice, and demands of the band than anybody in rock history. Oprah Winfrey, you think she's just heart and doesn't understand math? Go read about some people that have worked for Oprah. Tony Robbins, as soon as I was done in Business Mastery Las Vegas, within 45 minutes, Nicole was there. Sage was outside giving me a hug, thanking me for the incredible numbers. Thanking me for the incredible numbers. Sage Robbins. Heart and math. Love you guys. And let's go with Right Now by Van Halen. Because right now is your time. It is your time to make a decision about your heart, your math, your accountability, your acceleration. Love you guys. Thank you.